Anthrocon, the biggest furry convention in the world, has made a very questionable decision recently. In early March, Gryphon, a long-standing staple of the convention, was told that he wasn't going to be allowed on stage, at all, meaning he won't be performing his own show and he won't be appearing alongside other performers at the convention as previously scheduled. Now I want to make it clear, I talked to Gryphon and I consider him a friend, just so you know where my biases lie. And also, I don't agree with every single thing says. I think he's funny at times, and other times some of his jokes are in poor taste, but that doesn't stop me from being his friend. Anyway, if you don't know of him, Gryphon is a stand-up comedian who has been performing at Anthrocon for the last 14 years. So why now suddenly have his appearances been cancelled by the board of the convention? The stated reason for Two's cancellation is simply that his popularity has been waning and they want to open up the main stage for other shows. Now, this seemingly makes sense, if it were true. But Two himself has made a few videos talking about this, and in one of the more recent ones, he breaks down why the given reasons don't really make sense. You can watch the video yourself, I'll put a link in the description, but in it Two outlines a few issues. First of all, even though it's true that his show's attendance has been waning, he's still one of the largest shows at the convention. Furthermore, why wouldn't they just move him to a different room instead of canceling his show altogether? And finally, why would they tell him he can't appear on stage for the other shows he was originally going to make an appearance on? It seems pretty clear that this isn't about not having space for Two, but instead is just about not wanting him to appear. But why would the board of Anthrocon not want, what many consider a staple of the convention, to speak? Well, if you've been paying attention to Twitter lately, Gryphon has recently become the target of certain accusations. Basically, he's being called a Nazi. This is for a few reasons. Most of them are stupid, as expected, among them being that when Richard Spencer was punched, he tweeted that it's not okay to hit someone based on their political views, and that makes you a Nazi, apparently. In his Furry Raider videos, he also didn't immediately hate them, instead saying that he couldn't find anything that they're doing that's bad. If you didn't know, Furry Raiders are just a group of furries and their crime is essentially their logo, which looks similar to a Nazi armband. Though they themselves have stated that they are not Nazis, and they don't do any sort of Nazi-ing. Basically, people hate them because of their logo, and if you also don't hate them, that automatically makes you a Nazi sympathizer. But I'm not here to prove or disprove if Two is a Nazi. Honestly, I don't really care, even if he was. And I know that'll get used against me, so let me elaborate. I don't automatically assume that a person is evil or whatever because of their ideologies. I don't really care. I've sat at a table and played cards and board games with feminists, liberals, conservatives, religious people, and you know what? It was fine, and it was fun, and they were all good people to hang around. Because as long as they aren't annoying me by spouting rhetoric about their ideology, their personal ideas have no bearing about how I feel about them. I judge a person by their actions, not by the labels that other people have given them. But did the board of Anthrocon bar Two from appearing on stage because some people on Twitter are accusing him of being a Nazi? Well, the timing would seem to indicate that. Furthermore, if we take a look at who those people are pushing for this Gryphon Nazi thing, we find something a little bit sketchy. One of the people pushing for this is Skydex's Unicorn, and if you look over his tweets, you'll see it's full of fairly standard SJW rhetoric. And in fact, seems to have quite the hate boner for Gryphon, calls him Two Garbage Can. Tweet after hateful tweet, going as far as to imply that he'd like to see Two's YouTube career fall. So who is Actually, you know what? Let's give him a more appropriate name. We'll craft it after his own naming scheme here and call him, X Dumpster. So who is X Dumpster? Well, it turns out he's on the board for Anthrocon, one of the people who made the decision to bar Two from being on stage. And this isn't just about Two allegedly being a Nazi. Some of these tweets are dated before any of that ever started. It's clear that X Dumpster has a personal vendetta against Gryphon. Is it possible that X Dumpster has been pushing this Nazi thing in an attempt to convince the rest of the board not to let Two have a presence on stage? Well, if these tweets are anything to judge his maturity level by, I wouldn't put it past him. And the timeline does seem to match up. He also seems fairly happy that Two won't be on stage. All of this makes me wonder, is someone like X Dumpster a person that should really be allowed to be on the board for Anthrocon? As a community, do we want someone like this wielding any amount of power? X-Dumpster, honestly, I think you should be ashamed of yourself. Even if you didn't directly vote or whatever for 2 to be removed from stage, you helped propagate it. As someone on the board for the world's largest furry convention, you are a leader in the furry community. And this is not how a leader acts. Now, in light of all of this, will I still be going to Anthrocon? Well, I'll likely be banned from it just for making this video, so that probably won't be an option. But if I'm still allowed to go, I don't know. I'll have to think about it. It would still be fun to meet up with some of you guys, and I'm sure there is still plenty of other things to enjoy there. Well, tell me what you think in the comments. I'm Cothrix, and you have a wonderful day.